Let's bring in Libby Cantrill, head of U.S. public policy at Pimco. I don't know what to look at, Libby. I think you're right. You said probably a week before we know everything. It's weird that the day before we got an interesting New York Times Siena poll that showed former President Trump up one. And if he's up one in the, I don't know if you agree with that, but if he's up one in the national poll, that probably does not, at that point, didn't portend great things for the swing states for Vice President Harris. Do you expect, like, a poll conducted that way to shift significantly following the debate?
Well, look, what we're telling our clients is that this is going to be an election that's won at the margins. And so any marginal event could actually have an outsized impact. I think it's really too early to say. I mean, to your point, he's leading nationally by a point within the margin of error.
Before the debate.
Before the debate. I think, as you point out, the more instructive, polls to look at are the swing states, and it really is sort of a mixed bag. Pennsylvania is the most important state, as you know, Joe, and it is a dead heat. So if this moves by a point in her favor, that will be a victory. But I think for all intents and purposes, this is going to be, we're sort of characterizing this as a knife fight in a phone booth. I mean, this is going to be an incredibly close election. Now, while voters are actually going to the polls in Pennsylvania, they're starting to early vote in North Carolina, so the events now could actually have an impact in terms of how people are voting. It's still, we're still basically 2 months out. So I guess we wouldn't read too much into any of this. Objectively, I think the folks, swing voters in terms of the sort of immediate focus groups right after the debate thought that she did better. But in terms of actually really moving the needle, it didn't seem like it was, they're persuadable, but maybe that event didn't actually persuade them to actually change their vote.
There's a lot of people that are locked in on either side.
It's calcified, for sure.
And it's true that 3.5 years ago, it was less than 50,000 total votes spread across 3 swing states that determined the president. So that's where we are right now. So Taylor Swift, supposedly 600,000 young fans registered to vote after she gave him some type of I mean, that could be more significant than
that's what we were telling clients. Like, the debate may be interesting. We didn't really learn very much about about her views on the economy, or really he wasn't very specific in terms of his economic policies. But what could really move the needle here is her endorsement. I think it's to your point about kind of polling error. If you looked at where Biden was in this cycle in 2020 and where Hillary Clinton was in 2016, both of them were much farther ahead versus Trump than where Harris is.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
But I think that, so if polling error repeats itself in 2020 and 2016, then that is bad for Harris. Polling error, though, is symmetric, and that's what we're telling our clients, too, is that you looked at 2012, actually polling error went in Obama's favor, meaning that polls really underestimated the support for Obama. And I think the reason why I tie this into the Taylor Swift endorsement is because if you have a bunch of young people who are registering, who are going to vote, that those polls are not capturing, you could actually see polling error, shift this. Like, again, who knows? We don't know. But it is, I think, it's something that everyone needs to keep in mind, that polling error is actually symmetric.
I don't know if the polls get a hold of the 16 or the 18, 19, 20-year-old voters who are out there in some cases, too. It's a lot harder to track younger people who don't have the traditional means of picking up a landline or something like that. But, Libby, I was thinking about this kind of in terms of the stock market. And I have to say, of my lifetime, this is the most volatile election season I've ever seen or experienced, just in terms of somebody's up in the polls, somebody's down in the polls. Things change, and obviously a big part of that was Biden dropping out of the race. But any given day or any given week, you might see some pretty significant swings in who you think's ahead. I have no idea. I wouldn't even fathom a guess at this point.
Right, and I think, again, we would say it's probably too early to actually be, betting your money. And, we're telling our
people are already voting.
We're telling our clients that they're already voting. We're telling our clients, cash out of cash, stay invested. We think active fixed income is actually pretty attractive. But, yeah, this is going to be, obviously,
Will there be another debate, Libby?